Hey guys, so in the last couple of videos we've been talking about how to do a sort of DIY running technique screen, and leading on from that I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about if you identify some running technique errors, how to fix them. So we've talked already about cadence and how to identify the top 3 running technique errors. So if you want to go back and check those previous episodes, just whatever channel you're watching or listening to this on, just go back 1 or 2 episodes and you should find that. Today though, we're going to talk about overstriding. So we talked about what overstriding is. It's essentially reaching out a little bit too far in front of you with your foot when you land. So you're essentially running with the brakes on. It's very inefficient. It tends to increase impact forces, which might increase injury risk. You tend to land on a straighter knee and so on and so forth. So let's just say we've identified that as something you do and we want to try and fix it. We want to try and reduce the overstride. So I have come up with, I think I'm going to patent this because I think I came up with it myself. I don't think I stole this from anybody. I might have, but if I did, I will go back and I will edit this and I will put credit in the video / audio, but I think I came up with this and I think it's really quite good. So I use this with clients often when we're trying to reduce overstride, but we're not so much looking to adjust anything else about their running technique. So the way to do it, you're going to run on the spot. And you're just going to try and match your sort of normal cadence, which is the steps per minute, which is to say just roughly turn your legs over at the same rate you normally would. So you're running on the spot and you're not sort of jumping or taking slower steps or anything like that, or really quick steps. It's just like normal running step rate, normal running cadence. And if we were to look at you from the side when you're doing that, you would be landing very much under your center of mass, which is exactly what we're trying to do when we're avoiding overstriding. So we're just doing that, but without moving, right? So we're running at 0 miles per hour or 0 kilometers per hour, and we're not overstriding. We're matching our normal step rate, which, we're not going to quantify exactly what it is, but we're going to try and roughly match our steps per minute. So we're not overstriding. We're just not moving anywhere. And now what we're going to try and do is take that same form and start to move forward. So you're going to continue running on the spot, the same step rate, and you're going to start to move forwards as slowly as you can. So literally running as slowly as you can. You're almost running on the spot. You're just sort of imperceptibly moving forwards a little bit. So now we're running at, 0.1 miles per hour, and we're still not overstriding, and we've still got the same cadence. Now we have to move a bit quicker. So you continue running on the spot and you start to speed up. Sorry, you continue at that really slow speed for a few more steps, maybe a few more seconds, and then you start to increase your speed ever so slightly. So each speed increase it's designed to be like a sort of gradual increase in speed, the same way as a sort of car accelerates. So you start off very slow and then just slowly increasing your speed, accelerating a little bit as the seconds pass, but not in steps. It's sort of a blending or a ramping up. And then you're going to keep doing that, slowly increasing your speed until you get to your sort of regular running pace. And at that point, you're going to continue at that pace for, let's say, a minute. And then you're just going to slow down and stop. Okay, so that's 1 repetition. And then we're going to repeat that 5 times. On the second time, what we're going to do is the same thing. So we're running usual cadence, usual step rate, but on the spot, so 0 miles per hour. And then we start to then we start to move forwards just a little bit. And this time, what we're going to think about is leaning forwards a little bit like with a Tower of Pisa. So what the research shows about running cues, which is, think about this or think about that. External cues tend to do better. So when we're trying to accomplish some sort of external goal, as opposed to an internal cue. So if I was to say lean forwards from your hips, lean forwards from your ankle, that doesn't tend to bed itself into your brain according to the research, as well as if I was to say lean forward like you're the Tower of Pisa. So that's what we're going to think about, okay? So it's that very slight lean, but we're not thinking about where it comes from. We're just trying to recreate that sort of very uniform lean from top to bottom. Make it as subtle as you can. So do it, think about the lean, and then take 80% off, because what you'll probably do is you'll overdo it a little bit. And on the second repetition, so we're still running on the spot, then we just start to lean a little bit like the leaning Tower of Pisa, and we just start to move forwards. And again, we're really trying to move forwards as slowly as we possibly can. Then you start to speed up a little bit. Keep the lean the same. Speeding up a little bit more, keeping the lean the same. Keep doing that until you reach your regular running pace. And I didn't say, but you can do like an easy pace. So whatever you would usually do for your long runs on a Sunday, because it's really trying to get the technique at a slow pace, and then you'll get it at the fast pace much more easily. So try and perfect it at easy pace and below, and you'll find it easier when trying to implement it in a faster pace. So we're going to do that on the second rep, and then we just repeat that for the next 3 reps, and we do 5 times. And all in all, it'll take about, I don't know, maybe 5 to 8 minutes. So it doesn't take very long. And you can just slot it in at the beginning of each run or halfway through a particular run. You're going to try and practice it at least 3 or 4 times a week. It'll tend to bed in a little bit quicker. Then what you're going to do is go back after, let's say, 3 weeks of doing this drill, and you're going to repeat the DIY running technique screen. So you're going to run on the treadmill, you're going to film yourself from the side, and you're going to look for overstride. So like we talked about in the last episode, freeze frame at the point of loading response, just as you're taking weight on the foot, drawing a line up the shin, and look for the angle of the shin, whether it's inclined forwards, vertically, or backwards. And ideally, if you've identified an overstride, so you were having a backwards leaning shin, and then you have practiced this drill for 3 or 4 weeks, you should notice that your shin becomes vertical at that same point in the gait cycle. And if it doesn't, then this drill hasn't worked so well for you. But what you might want to do is video yourself. This is a little tricky because you can't really do it on, I suppose you could do it on the treadmill and just tap the button to speed it up, but I don't think that's really going to work. I haven't tried it. You could get someone to film you, so that you run past the camera and they follow you with the camera, and you just do the drill. Another thing you could do would be maybe get them on a bike, and they could sort of pedal beside you very slowly as you do your drill, and repeat your 5 repetitions and film all of them, and then just have a look and see, are you actually landing under your center of mass while you're doing the drill. And then the problem is just integrating it into your regular running form, in which case it might need to be that you do the drill, let's call it the leaning Tower of Pisa drill, and you get up to your sort of terminal velocity, your usual running speed, and then you're going to run like that for 3 minutes and keep the camera looking at you and try and maintain that same form that you've just built up as you were speeding up. And then you slow down and stop, and then you repeat. But then that bit where you've reached terminal velocity, or the speed at which you were planning to do the run, you're going to continue that for longer, right? So you're going to run for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, having someone film you and trying to maintain that same form. So it might just be that you need to embed it a bit more. If they film you, and when you do the drill, at some point you start overstriding. So let's say you're speeding up slowly, and you're running on the spot. Initially, you have to be landing under your center of mass. You can't land in front of you. As you speed up, at some point in the video, you'll be able to see, oh look, that's the step where my foot starts to land out in front. Now my shin is angled backwards towards me, and it should be angled forwards. If that happens, I would say every speed, or the pace below that, you're getting right. And what you have to do is, let's say at 0 minutes, let's say at 0 miles per hour, you're landing under your center of mass. And then you don't measure this obviously, but let's say you speed up, and by the time you get to 1 mile per hour, you're still landing under your center of mass. You're not overstriding, so we're happy. And then you get to 2 miles per hour and you're still landing under your center of mass, and we're happy. Then you get to 3, and that's where you're overstriding. So you need to practice 1, 2, 3, slow down. 1, 2, 3, slow down and stop. 1, 2, 3, slow down and stop. Until you acquire the ability to run without overstriding at 1 miles per hour, 2 miles per hour, and 3 miles per hour. And then you practice that. And then when you get good at that and you've got that embedded, then you move up and you include 4 miles per hour, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. You might get to 6 or 7, depending on what your easy run pace is. Apologies if they're not good examples of metrics, but you get the idea. I don't really work in miles per hour, but I just kind of went with it. So that should allow you to take an overstride and work on it until it becomes landing under a center of mass. And then you're going to do that every run until you absorb it as your new running technique. But if you integrate it slowly, the way I just mentioned, doing the sort of 5 repetitions 3 or 4 times a week, and then gradually absorbing that new technique into your regular running style, then it shouldn't cause any major issues with foot pain or shin pain or anything like that. If it does, then you need to back off the volume at which you're doing that running technique, because your tissues are not yet used to it. So tissues sort of adapt to the stresses we put on them. So if you change your running technique, even if you go for a quote better technique, your tissues aren't used to that better technique. So they need time to adapt, and that might take 3 or 4 months to allow them to adapt. So you want to make sure anytime you change your technique, you integrate it really slowly, as slowly as you can, really, and just go very cautiously and watch for, I mean, with this technique, I'd principally looking for calf pain, Achilles pain, foot pain, that kind of thing. All right, that's all for this episode. I'll catch you next time. We're going to be talking about how to reduce impact, so that'll be the last of our big 3. So see you then.